9:05 in the morning on Tuesday, September 26th. My name is Chris Hand. Hello, how are you? Mac Maury in the producer chair. They're giving you new nicknames today.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I was hearing Dan the Man Mandis.
Pretty sweet.
Pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. They said that we should get you a Travis Kelce jersey with Swift on the back instead of Kelce.
And I heard Ken or JB say, make it pink. Yeah, no. I'm out.
That was JB, Brother Mac. I just covered the news.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Have you seen Travis Kelce's been getting a lot of grief?
Yes.
They're pulling up pictures of him from 2017 kneeling for the national anthem now.
Yes.
They're calling him a soy boy, Mac.
I don't know. Soy Boy has 6,000-yard seasons in a row, but it's pretty crazy.
That's what the internet's saying. I don't know.
Brother Mac with the comeback.
That's what the internet's saying. Saying he's a soy boy.
I just watch him on Sundays. Give me some points.
You only consume soy on Sunday.
Yeah, there it is.
All right. So you have no comment, no official comment?
Yeah, no comment. Those are the comments.
All right, good to know. Just wanted to get that out of the way before we get into the show. Travis Kelce's a soy boy. All right. Mac loves him.
Yeah. Got a signed jersey. Got 2 jerseys.
You have a signed
Travis Kelce jersey?
Travis soy
yeah,
boy
I just got to get
Kelce
it framed.
jersey.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. I feel like for longevity's sake, we should get you a custom one that says soy boy on the back. Because if we get Swift, you know what I mean? That's not going to be as funny in a couple years.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I'll send the email out. Also, today on the show, we want to talk about the border. We want to talk about Trump in South Carolina, and we're going to talk about Karine Jean-Pierre right now. She had a press conference yesterday, and she wanted to let everybody know that the president, he's following Travis Kelce's advice, and he's gotten his updated booster. Hey, Mac, give me some audio. I know you're upset because I called Travis Kelce a soy boy, but we got a show to do here, pal. But again, yes, Karine Jean-Pierre said that the president listened to Travis Kelce's advice and has gotten his COVID booster shot.
Why did the White House choose to have the president take his latest COVID booster out of public view? Isn't this a time when, given the promotion of boosters and how important they are, that the public might want to see the president have?
Yeah, so I think you all saw the physician's memo, his report on Saturday. So certainly, if you haven't, you should take a look at it. So the president got his vaccination. As you know, he has an incredibly busy schedule. He got his vaccination as the earliest moment that he could.
Snuck it in between nap time and snack time. Saw the Travis Kelce commercial, and he said, "I need one of those."
Give me one of those.
I like 2 things. Yep. So got his 2 things. Good to know, right? We also have Joe Biden going to Michigan today to stand with UAW workers. And Karine Jean-Pierre was asked if he supports the strikers' demands.
President Biden will be making this trip. Does this mean he supports the 40% pay increase and 32-hour work week?
I'm not going to get into the details of what's being negotiated right now on the table with certainly with the parties. What we're saying is that we support the auto workers. That's what you're going to see with the president tomorrow. This is a historic event, a historic trip. And this continues to show how indeed this president is the most pro-union president in history.
Yeah, and he decided to go visit the unions after Trump decided to go. Very reactionary. In fact, Washington Post wrote a nice hit piece on Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It said, the key difference between the Biden and Trump visits to Michigan. So just spoiler alert, it's old man good, orange man bad. So this is what Washington Post wrote. President Biden and former President Trump will travel to Michigan this week to speak to union members. It's an unabashed manifestation of next year's likely presidential general election. Trump is foregoing a primary debate to make the trip. Now, this is where it gets very propaganda-y, okay? But the 2 men's trips have very different political intents. Trump hopes to appeal to working-class voters in the critical swing state. Biden wants to bolster the strength of the unions to which many of those workers belong. The latter is about building power in labor institutions and, by extension, Democratic politicians. The former is about eroding that power and building power for Trump. This is not a trivial distinction. You know, I would argue that the two men's trips have actually the exact same political intents. They're trying to win votes. So there's nothing different about either of their trips, except for the fact that Biden is the president and maybe he can try to broker a deal. However, I don't think that that's his expertise. Has the resident in chief, Joe Biden, brokered any deals since he's been president? I mean, we had the train strike, but Joe's not the one on the ground actually doing it. Whereas when President Trump was in, we had historic deals being brokered left and right. I mean, the Abraham Accords pops right up into my mind. The Washington Post will say, oh, Biden's going, Trump is going, and they're two different things. Joe Biden wants to build power in labor institutions. Trump wants to build power for himself. And Washington Post keeps going on with this hit piece. And again, the men are going for the exact same reason. To win over people in the Rust Belt. Trump won Michigan in 2016. He lost it in 2020. Of course he's going to go back there, and of course he wants to appeal to workers who he won over in 2016. But the hit piece just keeps going and wants to make it seem like Trump is doing it for all these bad reasons and Joe's doing it for all these good reasons, when at the end of the day, they're doing it for the same reasons. Listen to this. So this is what Washington Post wrote. Since he launched his 2016 campaign, Trump has asserted a special affinity for union workers. It makes sense, given what we know about his base. His most fervent supporters have long been whites without a college degree, a group that overlaps heavily with the labor movement. In 2016, exit polls suggested that he'd done better with union members than any Republican in 30 years. In 2020, though, that advantage faded. Biden did almost, but not quite as well against Trump as Obama had done against Romney in 2012. Trump's plan for his visit to Michigan centers on a speech to a group of current and former union members, individuals who share the characteristics of the Rust Belt labor movement. It's an appeal to a group of voters whose choices on Election Day might focus less on economic power than cultural issues. On Monday, the Trump's campaign posted a video snippet from a visit Joe Biden made to an auto plant in March of 2020. It depicts a worker wearing a hard hat, accusing the then candidate of wanting to end the Second Amendment. We all remember that video where Biden then says, "You're full of S." Biden uses a colorful term to describe the allegation as inaccurate. But this is the pitch. Biden doesn't get working class people, all this union stuff aside. There's been an increasing bifurcation in the political views of white Americans with or without a college degree. It was neatly captured in a Gallup analysis published a few years ago. Over the past 2 decades, whites with degrees have shifted to the left, and those without a degree have moved to the right. Importantly, this trend predates 2016 and Trump. He benefited from the gap far more than he created it. But there's a catch here. To the extent that Trump's pitch is focused on working-class white people, and particularly working-class white men, that group makes up less of a labor movement than it used to. In 2000, about 80% of the union members were white, according to a Bureau of Labor Statistics data. Now 3/4 are. So they're saying that Trump is going because he has to appeal to white men. Oh, the orange man is racist. But is he appealing to white men, or is he just appealing to working class people? Nothing in Trump's plans or statements has it made it seem like he's appealing to white men. He's appealing to people that have been disenfranchised in the Rust Belt. The same people that Joe Biden is screwing over left and right. You know, and he's screwing them over in all sorts of different ways. We can talk about the cost of living. We can talk about grocery store in prices. We can talk about inflation. We can talk about interest rates. He is making it unaffordable to be a working class person in the Rust Belt. 100%. Trump, on the other hand, did a lot for the Rust Belt. He brought jobs back to Michigan and Ohio. He didn't send them to China. But they'll tell you in the Washington Post, Trump is going there because he has intentions of eroding power, while Biden's going to unite people. Well, they're going for the same reason. They're going to win votes, and they're going to speak to people on the ground that have a genuine interest in what's happening politically. And the Washington Post continues. Biden seems to genuinely believe the importance of the institutional power of labor unions, but there's a political benefit his party has enjoyed too. Unions regularly give far more campaign contributions to Democratic candidates than Republicans. For example, a demonstration of the alliance between Labor and the Democrat Party. Unions provide more than money, of course. They endorse candidates, often Democrats, and encourage and incentivize union members to volunteer for campaigns. They turn out votes. This is harder and less effective than it used to be. Yeah, because people are waking up to the policies of the Democrats and what they're doing to jobs in the Rust Belt. But it is still effective, the Washington Post says. Labor unions see the Democratic Party as an ally in its effort to win fights against management. The party sees labor as an ally in winning elections. There's a symbiosis between the two institutional power centers. Biden will walk a picket line, a demonstration of support for the aggregated power of the auto workers. Trump will speak to a group of workers from a variety of unions, making his case for them as individual actors. Now here comes, the propaganda portion. The former approach aims to strengthen the unions and the latter to weaken it. In this case, so that Trump's campaign can be strengthened. They make it seem like Trump is doing this egotistical move when in reality, they're both doing the same thing. They're both trying to win votes. But Trump does it, and he's an absolute evil person. And Biden does it, and he's just, the God's gift to unions. It's just the double standards are crazy. If they didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all. But Karine Jean-Pierre won't even say if Biden supports the striking UAW's demand of a 40% pay increase and a 32-hour work week. Weird. Now, Karine Jean-Pierre was also asked about the incoming government shutdown. This is what that sounded like.
The White House has made it very clear that it's on Republicans to avoid the government shutdown, not on the White House, but our latest polling shows that a higher percentage of Americans would actually blame the shutdown on the president and the Democrats, not on Republicans. Why do you think that is, and should the president be out there speaking more on this issue?
We're going to be very clear. This will be a Republican shutdown, right? This is extreme House Republicans who have made it very clear that the chaos that we're seeing in the House, they are marching us towards a government shutdown. That shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. This is the job of Congress. One of the basic jobs of Congress is to keep the government open. A deal was made. I mean, I can't speak to your polling, but what I can speak is to the facts.
Well, I can speak to the facts, too. When you spend all summer telling people that the economy is doing great and it's because of Bidenomics, when we can see with our eyes that it's doing bad, go ahead and keep calling it a Republican shutdown because, you've proven time and time again, the Democratic Party, Karine Jean-Pierre, Joe Biden, that what you're saying is actually the opposite of what's true. Anybody paying attention kind of realizes that. You tell us the border's secure, it's wide open. You tell us that the economy's great, it's in the gutter. It's absolute trash right now. So when you want to go on and say, this is a Republican shutdown, who cares what the polls say? We're going to worry about the facts. Well, by all means, continue that. I think that Karine Jean-Pierre, Joe Biden, calling this a Republican shutdown is only going to be good for conservatives and for Republicans because the American people have been trained to not believe anything coming out of the Democratic Party and anything coming out of the Biden administration because, weird, anything they say turns out to be the opposite of what's true. So, cool. Call it a Republican shutdown, please. I think that's a win for conservatives. She was also asked about the polling, saying how so many people really disapprove of the president's handling of the economy.
37% of registered voters, just 37%, approve of the president's handling of the economy. He's at a 56% disapproval, the highest of his presidency. And 74% of registered voters say they have major or moderate concerns about the president's age and mental fitness. How troubling is that?
Here's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on exactly what you just asked me, right?
Here's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on what you asked me. Do you think she's going to focus on what she was asked, or spoiler alert?
right? The first question, which is how do we continue to support the workers, right? We're not going to get into the litigation of the negotiations here, but what we're going to do is continue to show how much this president is working for American families.
So you were asked about the approval of the president's handling of the economy, concerns in his age, and you said, here's what we're going to focus on. To your first question, we believe in workers. Thanks, Karine. It proves my point. I mean, the lies that come out of the left, the moving of the goalposts, the dancing around questions, like, yeah, anything you say, we're going to assume that the opposite is true. We have more audio from Karine Jean-Pierre, including her commenting on the southern border crisis, what Biden is zeroed in and laser focused on, and more. Plus, we'll have audio from Trump's speech in South Carolina. We have an update on the Nazi that was just honored in Canada. Justin Trudeau went on record about it. And we got all that for you coming up on the Chris Hand Show, 921 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for United Structural Systems, my friends at USS. These guys, I had a chance to sit down and meet them a couple weeks back. They're honest, good, hardworking people, and they know exactly how to fix your issues in your crawl space, no matter what the issue is. If you're noticing standing water in your crawl space, wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors, foundational issues, your house is trying to tell you something. And the guys at USS, well, they speak house fluently, and they can come check it out and give you a custom plan to fix it. That's the best part about it. Every plan is custom, and they're going to work with you to find the right solution. When I called them over to my house, they gave me a couple different plans to figure out what we could do with my crawl space, and they can do the exact same thing for you. So if you're having issues in your crawl space, if you're noticing that standing water, wet basement walls, give them a call today, 615-488-7855. With 25,000 satisfied customers, I'm confident that you will be number 25,001. Call United Structural Systems today, 615-488-7855, or online at USSTN.com.
Got a crash, and it is slowing things down in Sumner County. This is an accident at 65 southbound right before the Millersville-Springfield Highway 31 West exit 98. And hear from a striking auto worker who doesn't want Biden or Trump on the picket lines. Coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
They an RFK Jr. guy? Is that what's going on?
I don't know who this old boy is.
Looking for Robert or maybe Tim Scott. 'Cause I don't hear anybody clamoring for Nikki Haley or Chris Christie.
What about Asa?
Yeah, it's probably that's it. It's probably Asa Hutchinson.
That auto-making mecca in Arkansas there.
There you go. All right. I think that's got to be it. People love Asa Hutchinson. All morticians agree that he has great makeup. It's the truth. It's the truth. Is he even going to make it on the debate stage tomorrow night?
I don't know. I haven't seen the rundown on the list. I mean, by now it should be out. So
he misses
maybe
out.
He is there.
Asa Hutchinson misses out as 7 candidates qualify.
Really? Okay, Brother Mac. Way to go, Brother Mac, with the fast.
You know, it's really America that misses out. It's Americans. I was really looking forward to him being avoided at all costs like he was in the last debate. Karine Jean-Pierre had her press conference yesterday, and she was asked about, what Joe Biden is zeroed in and laser focused on right now. And it's actually, he's zeroed in on lowering costs for Americans. And this is what I mean. All they do is lie. So call it a Republican shutdown, because when you tell us that the president is lasered focused on lowering costs for Americans, okay.
Why this president has been so zeroed in, so laser focused on lowering costs for Americans. And we've done that. And a lot of the policies that the president has put forward are indeed popular. I mean, Bidenomics has worked so well that you have Republicans in their own districts, in their own states, taking credit for things that the president pushed forward, policies that the president has pushed forward, legislation that they didn't even vote for. If you think about the American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Act. So I get the polling that you're laying out.
Yep, she gets the polling. She does. She understands polling, but Joe Biden's laser focused. She was asked, well, why does the polling show 37% approval of Biden?
37% approve?
I hear you. But it is, look, our focus is going to be on what we can do to continue to deliver for the American people.
Is it continuing to deliver if they've delivered nothing? Is that continuing to deliver? Like, if you don't deliver anything, if you've never delivered, do you continue delivering? Is it continuing delivering nothing? Is that the thing? I don't know. I'm gonna look into that. I don't know if that's continuing to deliver. I'm not sure. 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the news.
9:30 on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 2 minutes. President Biden joining striking auto workers on the picket line today at a Ford plant in Wayne, Michigan. Former President Trump will address union workers tomorrow, but for some, like Mac Hall and his sons Stephen and Chris, 2 generations of auto workers on strike together, this strike is about something bigger than politics as usual.
Personally, Biden and Trump can stay at home. I think we have enough millionaires and billionaires trying to determine where we get. You don't understand.
Well, a warning: if you have outstanding student loan payments, authorities say be on the lookout for fake robocalls and text messages promising forgiveness, a reduction in payments, or canceling a loan altogether for a fee. Here's one of those calls.
I'm calling about your federal student loan that is now showing possibly qualified for the loan forgiveness program. And this is through the Department of Education, so this program is government funded.
Yeah, officials say the major warning signs include calls that ask you for your personal information or calls that ask for money up front. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. I've had a financial radio show on WTN for over 20 years. But before that, for about the first 10 years of my career, I worked for a big investment firm. The name of the game was selling and getting assets under management. Then I was introduced to evidence-based investing, driven by academic research and not the sales process. Two big revelations. One was that investing in the stock market wasn't a gambling adventure. I had never thought about it that way. Think about when we invest, you're just gambling your money away and just throwing it into the casino. Well, investing in stocks is really just owning companies. And you think about some of the most successful people in the world are business owners, and you get to be a business owner when you invest in the stock market. It allows you to be part owner of the most successful companies in the world. The second had to do with how you were investing in those companies. In my former role, I was taught that my job was to use my skills to predict the future. Oh, crystal ball, what stocks or market segments are going to do best in the near future? If you listen to investing news sources and investment advisors, you'll find that making predictions is the rule rather than the exception. One recent study shows that 93% of professional managers underperformed the market over the past 15 years in their selection of large U.S. stocks. And it was over 95% that underperformed with small companies. Did you know that you could be tremendously successful as an investor without predicting the future? I believe the first step is education. However, it can't be just any education. We will help you understand what you're doing with your investments, why you're doing it, and what the basics are behind how things work. Then we make recommendations. I want you to be completely confident before you do anything. If that sounds like a winning game plan, set up a free 15-minute phone call at any of our 10 offices around Nashville. Go to paulwinkler.com to schedule a call today.
9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Mac Morey's my producer. Ken Weaver in the newsroom. And you are the most important member of our crew on the Super Text line and the phone lines at 615-737-9986. Got a couple texts here. 0467 said, dang, Hand, you sound more Canadian every day.
Oh, burn.
I know. I don't know.
Golly.
Must be a Chiefs fan. Just upset that I've been going in on Travis Kelce. I also got a couple of texts about Karine Jean-Pierre saying that they're laser focused on lowering costs. 9495 said they lowered costs. What starting point is she gauging that reduction on? Lower than what? So many of my basic needs cost more than they ever have. What has been lowered? To which I would say probably just our expectations. I think that's the only thing. I think that's the only thing that's been lowered. They weren't high to begin with.
No, exactly.
They weren't high to begin with, but they've been lowered. They've been lowered. 0093 said, Karine Jean-Pierre was being asked about recent polling. Said she doesn't understand polling. She's a lesbo. And I said, I don't know what her orientation has to do with that. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
Nice.
Got it. 6890 said, yeah, they're laser focused on tapioca pudding, ice cream, and sniffing the kids. Well,
bingo.
Yeah. How else do you wake up? Some people like to smell the coffee. Joe does other things. I got a text from 3304. Hey, Chris, what is your bet on a Swift and Kelce breakup? I got Taylor in 6 months for 200.
Wow.
Yep.
So you don't even think there's going to be a breakup because you think it's artificial.
I think it's fake.
Yeah, you think it's artificial. Yeah.
I mean, look how much. All right. His jerseys went up, what, like 400%?
400%.
Okay. So I don't know. What kind of profit does he get off that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's decent.
If he paid her $1 million to do a fake relationship, he probably got his ROI.
You're probably right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems fake. Seems like fake news. John says, I guess attacking Kelce and the Chiefs is a Canadian thing. Thanks, John in Lawrenceburg. Just Canadian things. People commenting my accent. I sound Canadian. All right. Cool. Thanks, guys.
It's his favorite thing. So if you just keep texting that, he loves that. It makes him smile.
I'll go sit in the corner. Do you remember from yesterday, there was the Nazi that got the standing ovation in Canadian Parliament? Speaking of just Canadian things, they invited a literal Nazi, and they gave him a standing ovation.
Zelensky's speech received at least a dozen standing ovations. There was also one for this man, a 98-year-old Ukrainian Canadian who fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians during the Second World War.
Oh, he's so brave. So brave. He was a Nazi. He was literally a Nazi. Yaroslav Hunk. What a hunk. He was a Nazi who fought with the 14th Division of the Waffen-SS against the Russians in Ukraine during World War II. Hunk assisted in installation of a Nazi dictator in the region. He also engaged in the wholesale slaughter of the Ukrainian people and entire villages disloyal to Hitler. And then they honored the man as a hero. I love the community notes now on Twitter. Remember when it was run by Dorsey and the screaming leftists? We would often get the added context on Twitter, where it would say, this is a conspiracy theorist. Take off your tinfoil hat. Now, they're actually pretty based. Politico tweeted out, Nazi-linked veteran received ovation during Zelensky's Canada visit. Nazi-linked. To which the community notes added some context and said, Yaroslav Hunka was not just linked to the Nazis, he was literally part of the German Nazi military serving as a Waffen-SS soldier. The group was declared a criminal organization by the International Military Tribunal in Nuremberg in 1946. So a little more than a link, But But luckily, Twitter is no longer in the hands of rabid leftists who don't just shout down conspiracies, don't shout down facts as conspiracies. Unfortunately, Canada is still in the hands of rabid leftists who will shout down facts as conspiracies. And Trudeau, the mayor of Canada himself, Justin Trudeau, was asked for a response on the standing ovation for the Nazi at Parliament. This is what he said.
Upsetting that this happened. The speaker has acknowledged his mistake and has apologized. But this is something that is deeply embarrassing to the Parliament of Canada and, by extension, to all Canadians.
Deeply embarrassing. It's just deeply embarrassing. And you think, okay, all right, good apology, right? You know, they didn't know. Give them a pass. But then Justin Trudeau continues and takes a weird turn. Takes a weird turn in his apology for giving a Nazi standing O.
I think particularly of Jewish MPs and all members of the Jewish community across the country who are commemorating Yom Kippur today. I think it's going to be really important that all of us push back against Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation, and continue our steadfast and unequivocal support for Ukraine as we did last week with announcing further measures to stand with Ukraine in Russia's illegal war against it.
So he apologizes and then says it's on us to push back against Russian propaganda and Russian disinformation. How are those two things linked? Zelensky brought the Nazi, right? Isn't that how it happened? They invited him. It wasn't some Russian trick. I don't know how we push back against Russian propaganda.
It's going to be really important that all of us push back against Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation, and continue our steadfast and unequivocal support for Ukraine.
Yeah, keep supporting Ukraine. Don't fall for Russian propaganda. We didn't really clap for that Nazi. That was the Russians tricking you. Russia. Everything's Russia's fault. Everything is Russia's fault. In fact, it's that Russian propaganda, which is why Rob Schneider has canceled his comedy tour in Canada. Yeah, because they gave the Nazi a standing ovation. Rob Schneider has actually canceled his trip to Canada. He went on Twitter and he said, "I can't. It's beyond the pale. Trudeau's tyranny against peaceful trucker protesters seems insignificant to this despicable and outrageous act of honoring one of Adolf Hitler's Nazi SS soldiers by the Canadian Parliament. No words." And he's right. It is despicable. And it's nothing that we shouldn't have expected from Justin Trudeau. Like Schneider points out, the tyranny against peaceful trucker protests, shutting off their bank accounts. Justin Trudeau and the Canadian government has jumped the shark a long, long time ago. But I would like to point out to Rob Schneider, I think you're falling for the Russian disinfo and propaganda that Justin Trudeau has warned us to push back on.
It's going to be really important that all of us push back against Russian propaganda.
Got to push back against it, Rob. You're letting the Russians win, Rob. That's what Justin Trudeau thinks. Zelensky's been in the news also. He hired a new ambassador. Have you heard about his new ambassador?
I haven't.
All right. Well, it's Marina Abramovich. He's trying to hire her as an ambassador for his country. Do you know who that is?
Tennis?
No.
Sounds like a tennis player.
No, Google her. Google her. She does not play tennis. She actually dabbles in witchcraft and weird stuff.
Oh, yeah. Conceptual artist and performer.
Yep. She's a weird one.
Not tennis.
No.
Gotcha.
Definitely not tennis. Marina Abramovich, this woman is crazy. She's like involved in spirit cooking. They call her a performance artist, but she's actually just like a witch. This is from Breitbart. Ahead of debuting her solo exhibition in Britain, the controversial 76-year-old Serbian claimed that President Zelensky has asked her to become an ambassador for Ukraine and to help the country rebuild its school system. Yeah.
Oh, my. Wow.
Look at some of this art that this woman has done. She's a spirit cooking occultist, and She's claiming that President Zelensky has asked her to become an ambassador for Ukraine and help the country rebuild its school system. Hard pass. Hard pass. If your school system has any spirit cooking occultists in it, I would run away from that school very fast. The comments reported by The Telegraph, Abramovich said, I've been invited again to be an ambassador of Ukraine to help the children affected by rebuilding schools and such. Serbian artist went on to claim that she's also been invited to join the board of Babin Yar organization to help protect Holocaust Memorial Center for Jews killed by Nazis in Ukraine, which was damaged in a Russian missile attack shortly following last year's invasion of the country. So she has to help rebuild the Memorial Center, which was destroyed by Nazis during World War II. The same Nazis that they give a standing ovation for in Canadian Parliament. Weird. In 1996, Marina Abramović, the occult Serbian artist, produced a cookbook for spirit cooking. Okay? In it includes aphrodisiac recipes, such as mixing fresh breast milk with fresh sperm to be consumed on earthquake nights. Meanwhile, another recipe calls for fresh morning urine. The recipes were claimed to serve as evocative instructions for actions or thoughts. In response to the controversy surrounding the spirit cooking dinner that she's hosted in the past, Abramovich claimed it was actually just a normal menu, which I call spirit cooking. There was no blood or anything else. We just called things funny names.
She's acting like it's normal.
Oh,
there's no blood.
It is very normal for these people.
Whoa.
There's pictures of her hosting parties with Lady Gaga where they will literally be eating cake that looks like a naked woman. So they're all cutting into this. It's like they're eating, like they're cannibals. However, she has gone to deny that she's a Satanist, saying my work is really about spirituality and not anything else. I mean, I guess if you're worshiping Moloch and that's your spirituality stuff. However, Abramovich has claimed in the past to have mystical clairvoyant powers, which enable her to foresee world events before they happen. Writing in her memoir, Walking Through Walls, I dreamed of an earthquake in Italy. 48 hours later, there was an earthquake in southern Italy. I had a vision of someone shooting the Pope. 48 hours later, someone tried to shoot Pope John Paul II. And in addition to mixing in political circles, like with the Obamas and such, Abramovich has also brushed elbows with Lady Gaga, Jay-Z, all sorts of musical artists. We all know how people feel about Hollywood and the occult. Quite a few people feel like that's pretty real. You know, you go on the internet. People do feel like that was real. Another institution that she's been known to be linked with is Balenciaga. We all remember the Balenciaga scandal. I mean, it seems like anywhere where something's relating to occultism, Satanism, pedophilia, cannibalism, Marina Abramovich is pretty close by. And now she's going to be helping rebuild schools in Ukraine. Weird. All right, it's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. 8863 said, yeah, next they're going to put her on the board of Burisma. Yep, sounds about right. Terry texted and said, she'll be building a series of Hogwarts across the country. All right. And then somebody else said, 4680 said, Chris, you must be totally embarrassed of your home country. I'm not Canadian. Not that there's anything wrong with that. 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. It's getting colder at night and in the morning, and you're going to be wanting to kick on that heat to get the chill out of the air. Well, if you haven't had your heater serviced yet, I suggest you call my friends Jeff Eddy and Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. I mean, it can be so hard to find somebody that you trust with these large home repairs, and you don't want to kick that heater on as it gets cold and find out It's not working. So call Jeff and his crew to come take a look at it before you kick it on. Efficient Heating and Cooling, they're a small company, but they do have big service and even bigger results. I trust Jeff and his crew to do what's right because they've proved it over and over again. Now, if you're trying to make a decision to repair or replace your system, if you've had the other guys out there and they say, oh, you got to replace it, I would suggest that you give Jeff and his crew a call. They'll walk you through every option and scenario so that way you can make an informed decision. Most of the other companies are just going to pressure you to replace your system. You want to know why? It's because they make more money that way. Well, with Jeff and his crew, they just want you to make the right decision. Plus, with Efficient, they offer up to 18 months, same as cash financing on your next unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Go to efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424.
10 o'clock on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. While the strike against the auto companies is a chance to win votes, Karen Travers says President Biden goes to Michigan today to join the picket line, with former President Trump going to the same area in Wayne tomorrow.
Former President Donald Trump will be in Detroit Wednesday to give remarks to union members. The White House says that trip had no impact on President Biden's decision to join UAW auto workers on a picket line today in the Detroit area. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said today's trip was based on the president's own desire to show support and stand with auto workers. She said Mr. Biden has a long history of supporting labor.
He is the most pro-union president in modern times. That is not something that he's given himself that title. That is something that labor unions have given to him, and he wears that very proudly.
Now, in Tennessee, the Spring Hill GM plant was not on the list of plants going on strike as of last week. The union president, Shawn Fain, was quoted as saying, "Spring Hill, I know you are ready to go." He encouraged union members at Spring Hill and several other plants to stand by. Well, a proposal to open up the banking industry to the cannabis industry is making its way through Congress. Jim Ryan reports on the measure, which has won bipartisan support.
Because marijuana is illegal at the federal level, the major credit card companies don't allow cannabis purchases with plastic. That has turned growers and dispensaries into cash-only operations, making them and their customers tempting targets for crime. The Secure and Fair Enforcement Regulation, or SAFER Banking Act, would loosen the restrictions, giving the cannabis industry easier access to mainstream banks. The Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee takes it up tomorrow. The House has approved similar measures 7 times.
Entertainment news. Country music superstar Morgan Wallen will play Nissan Stadium next year. You can go to his website for access to tickets. The One Night at a Time 2024 tour to play Nissan Stadium on May the 2nd. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We were talking about the soon-to-be or potential ambassador for Ukraine, Marina Abramovich, the spirit-cooking Satanist herself. It's weird. She's going to help him rebuild schools, so I'd run away from that as fast as I could. We're also talking about how Zelensky went to Canada, and they gave a standing ovation for a Nazi, which is pretty cool. I will say the energy that Canadians have for Zelensky and Trudeau, I wish that we could mirror that here a little bit. When Zelensky was walking out in Canada, like onto the street, there's mobs of protesters screaming, "F you, pay for your own war. Pay for your own war, Zelensky." And I thought that was pretty based.
Dang, yeah, that is based.
I found a video online where it's the Canadian Parliament, and they said, it's a translation of what should have been said, thanks to AI. This is what it sounds like.
We have here in the chamber today a literal Nazi. His name is Yaroslav Hunka, a Waffen SS soldier who pledged allegiance to Hitler, fought against our allies in the Soviet Union, and was complicit in the Holocaust. This man's a criminal. Not a great look for us.
Not a great look for us.
Yeah.
No, not a great look at all. Not a great look at all. On the other side of North America, the Mexican president has been giving conservative media the what now? You know what I mean? Bringing the heat. The Mexican president claims conservative media won't talk about Republican Bob Menendez. If you're scratching your head, yeah, no, I get it. So the Mexican president mistakenly claimed that conservative news outlets would not provide cover for Menendez because he was a Republican from Texas. Like, I know the old trope about American education, but I think it should just be North American education now. Because Bob Menendez is not a Republican from Texas. Bob Menendez is a Democrat from New Jersey who has been indicted over influence peddling and gold bars and money for mortgage payments to benefit the Egyptian government. Bob Menendez, the Democrat from New Jersey, not a Republican from Texas, like the Mexican president claims, he's not resigning. He said he's going to fight this, and he will persevere.
Semana para hacer exactamente.
Oh, that was a Spanish version. Sorry about that. Bob Menendez is going to push back and won't resign and will run for re-election. On Monday, he has withdrawn. He claimed Monday that he has withdrawn thousands of dollars in cash over the past 3 decades after federal prosecutors indicted him on bribery allegations following the purported discovery of $480,000 in cash and more than $100K in gold bars during a search of his home last summer. Menendez's claim came during a press conference that NewJersey.com noted was the Hudson Community College Union City, New Jersey campus. That's where it was. Notably, the community college is situated right there in New Jersey's 8th congressional district, which his son, Bob Menendez's son, represents. For 30 years, I've withdrawn thousands of dollars in cash from my personal savings account, which I have kept for emergencies because of the history of my family facing confiscation in Cuba. Menendez, who has called these allegations baseless, claimed in his first public appearance since the indictment. Now, this may seem old-fashioned, but these were monies drawn from my personal savings account based on income that I have lawfully derived over those 30 years, he added. So do you believe him? Do you believe that the $480K in cash found at his home was just mattress money in case of a catastrophe? Is that realistic? I don't know. I bet you Joe Biden has about $480 cash in one of those boxes behind his Corvette. The garage is locked, so it's a safe place for it. The U.S. Attorney Office for the Southern District of New York announced Friday that Menendez and his wife were indicted on 3 counts each for their alleged corrupt relationship and accused of engaging with 3 New Jersey businessmen. Through that relationship, they're alleged to have accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars in gold, cash, and other bribes in exchange for using Menendez's power and influence as a senator, not only to protect and enrich the men, but to benefit the Arab Republic of Egypt. I do think that this Menendez case is a big one that we do need to keep an eye on. I think it's going to be precedent-setting in terms of what happens with Bob and what could happen with Joe down the road. I mean, they eerily mirror each other. A little bit different, but if you replace wife with son, it sounds like we're talking about Joe Biden. It's influence peddling at its core. And prosecutors have built this case, and I don't think that they would be indicting the man if they didn't have a solid case to go on. I mean, multiple gold bars were discovered at this guy's house, $480K in cash. Authorities also recovered a Mercedes that was worth more than $60K that allegedly was given to Menendez for his alleged help in interfering in a New Jersey criminal investigation into a Uribe associate. Nadine Menendez's safe deposit box, his wife, housed another $70K in cash. Now, I don't know. I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars laying around the house in cash. Do you, Mac?
No.
Yeah, so we're not really speaking from experience here.
Definitely not.
I don't know. Seems kind of weird.
To say the least.
Seems a little weird, right? So I think this is an important case to keep an eye on. I do think it mirrors what's happening with the president and his son. So where this goes, I think we can maybe watch it and see if it tracks with the president's case with his son. It's interesting. Interesting to say the least. The Democrats, meanwhile, they keep saying that they're only impeaching Biden or trying to impeach Biden for standing up for Hunter. Yep. During an interview on ABC News Live on Wednesday, the DNC chair, Jamie Harrison, responded to efforts to impeach President Joe Biden by wondering, are we going to impeach a president for being a good father, for standing up for your child? No. We're going to impeach him because of all the evidence. Like the whistleblowers, the suspicious activity reports, the emails, the text messages, Hunter saying that he had to give half of his salary to Pop. That's why we're going to be trying to impeach the president, because he was influence peddling, withholding money from other governments, that kind of thing. Not for standing up for his son. Not at all. It's just so weird to me the way Democrats try to position this as, Biden's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's looking out for his kid. We're absolutely going to see Joe Biden pardon Hunter Biden down the road. There's just no way around that. But the Biden crime family, will they actually see penalties for what they've done? I don't know. I think it's interesting, and I think we need to follow this Bob Menendez case very closely. As the Mexican president said, you can't let that Republican in Texas get away with it. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that the Mexican president claimed that conservative news outlets aren't covering the Menendez stuff because he's a Republican from Texas. Classic. Maybe the Mexican president should focus on his own border. I mean, I know we need to focus on that border too, but I wish we could get some help out of Mexico. It's an absolute mess. There's a story coming out that a alleged cartel informer brutally assaulted and bit Border Patrol agents in Texas. This is from Breitbart. A migrant suspected of being a Mexican cartel informant brutally assaulted and bit a Rio Grande Valley sector Border Patrol agent after crossing the border from Mexico. A photo shows the word rata, rat, branded on his forehead. The unnamed Border Patrol agent sustained a bite wound to his thigh during the attack. And I mean, this picture, this dude has a chunk missing from his thigh. The attack occurred in the Texas Rio Grande Valley Border Patrol sector again. A source within CBP, not authorized to speak to the media, says the incidents of assault on Border Patrol agents have not risen significantly during the latest border migration surge, but the assaults are becoming more dangerous as fewer Border Patrol agents are out on patrol. Most Border Patrol agents, he said, are dealing with thousands of migrants each day who willingly surrender. And those migrants are not combative because they know if they surrender, claim asylum, they'll be released into the interior of the country. It's the ones who are trying to get away or are involved in human and drug smuggling that are the danger, the source within CBP claimed. If you tangle with one of them, the likelihood of having any quick backup nearby is almost zero. They're outmanned and outgunned on the border. It's unreal. The Rio Grande Valley in Texas is notorious for Mexican drug cartel activity on both sides of the border. In Fronton, Texas, across from the Mexican town of Miguel Ailman, the Border Patrol and other law enforcement agencies frequently encounter cartel gunmen on the U.S. banks of the Rio Grande. Doesn't that feel good? They're just encountering gunmen right there on the U.S. banks of the Rio Grande. It's a good thing, the Department of Homeland Security is creeping down there to cut open the razor wire, right? Unreal. The border's an absolute mess. And they do. They cut open the razor wire. The Texas governor went and put double the razor wire. And now they're using that razor wire to appeal to our emotions once again. Just yesterday, the New York Post reported migrant children pictured howling in pain as they crawl through razor wire to reach the U.S. To which I would respond, you're not going to emotionally manipulate me because an adult forced their kid through razor wire. I won't be emotionally manipulated that way. What kind of mom or dad forces their child through razor wire? Gut-wrenching images taken by the Post show migrant toddlers crawling through razor wire to reach Eagle Pass, Texas, howling in pain as spikes from the wire stick into their flesh. The photos capture the sheer desperation of the humanitarian crisis playing out on the border, with families and even a double amputee crawling through the sharp coils of wire to get a shot at claiming asylum in the U.S. I'm sorry. Is it sad? Yes. Am I going to be emotionally manipulated into saying we need to take down the razor wire? Absolutely not. In fact, in some of these pictures, you can see the mother with the child smiling. The child's crying. The mom is smiling. Now, maybe it's a defense mechanism to try and it's okay, we're going to be fine. But these photos coming out of Eagle Pass that show these toddlers having to crawl through razor wire, to me, feel absolutely staged. They feel fabricated. It feels like AOC at the fence with her fake crying. So I won't be emotionally manipulated by this. It's sad. Yes, sure. It is. But this is the fault of the Biden administration hanging a vacant sign at the southern border. A welcome to America and basically taking care of anybody that comes through. This is a direct result of the policies of the Biden administration. And I think we need to do more on the border to repel these illegal aliens. And I'm sorry, you're a bad parent if you try and have your kid crawl through razor wire. Full stop. And I would argue that these may not even be the kids' parents. There's stories of kids being recycled at the border. I read one story where a child had come over the border 4 or 5 times, and when he would come through, they claim asylum, they fly him back, and then another family gets the kid and tries to get through. I say family with air quotes. Because it's much easier to claim asylum if you have a toddler with you. And during the great operation, the Great American Cleanup Operation on September 11th that they did down at the border, They're finding Benadryl and drugs scattered across the American side of the border because they're drugging the toddlers as they come through. So that way the toddlers can't answer questions for Border Patrol agents. Don't be emotionally manipulated by these pictures. It's hot garbage. I feel bad for the kids having to go through it, but this is exactly what they want to do. They want to emotionally manipulate you into feeling like we need to do something to bring these people in. Don't do it. Don't. It's an absolute psyop to think that any good parent is going to have their children crawling through razor wire. These people are not good people, and I would be willing to bet that the people with the children coming across the border, they're not their kids. I would be willing to bet money. I mean, you see these pictures, and yeah, the kid's crying, but the woman pushing the kid through the razor wire is smiling in every picture. So, miss me with it. Don't be emotionally manipulated. That's what they want. They want you to feel bad. They want to twist your feelings and saying, oh, we have to do something. We do. We do. Closing the border is what we have to do. 1021 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Don't forget you can be a part of the show anytime you want on the text lines and the phone lines, 615-737-9986. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hunter Biden is suing Rudy Giuliani. There's new data out from the CDC about long COVID. And another major retailer is following others and offering health care services. These stories and more coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1025. My name is Chris Hand. Paul, who's obviously in the great state of Tennessee, has a comment on the border. Paul, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Paul?
Yes, I just wanted to ask a question of the governor of this great state, Governor Lee, as to why it is that he's just standing on the sidelines and not doing anything to mitigate the illegal migration of all these folks here in Tennessee. Right now, we have over 400,000 of them. They're overwhelming the system, as we know, not only here but throughout the United States. A good example of that is Rutherford County, and you see them in Wilson County and Davidson County. And so the resources are limited because this is for people who have migrated legally to the United States, not who were born here in the United States legally and have followed the laws. These people are not here legally. They have nothing to contribute. Mr. Governor, what are you doing? Mr. Lee, what are you doing to get these people out of here?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the last thing I've seen from Lee on the southern border was that he authorized 100 Tennessee National Guard troops to go to the southern border amid their security crisis. And that was to patrol and provide additional security, assist road and route clearance, and then staffing outpost operations. So, I mean, it doesn't feel like he's doing much, does it?
I agree with you, and I don't understand why you occupy a place in the government to lead the people when you're not doing anything. Just get out of the way and let somebody lead.
Yeah, well, luckily we do have term limits, and he's going to be out of the way soon. So, I mean, if you feel like that's an issue, I think we should send him an email, bring it up to him. Maybe he does something on the way out, but at the end of the day, let's look for the next governor to be way more proactive on this front. I think that's imperative.
We have other people. We have a majority of Republicans here in the state of Tennessee. Why can't they do something about this?
I mean, I think they could if they put their minds to it. It's just, do they want to?
Exactly.
Yep, exactly.
Well, thank you for the call.
Hey, man, I appreciate you reaching out. Thanks, Paul. You know, I think that Paul brings up a good point. What else is happening? I mean, if I was Governor Lee, I would start packing buses the way DeSantis and Abbott are doing and send them to New York City. And New York City's an absolute mess because of it. It's finally a national problem because New York City is dealing with it. I got a story from the New York Post. Migrants are forced to sleep on the floor at New York City's Roosevelt Hotel shelter as city hits deadline for stay limit. Scores of migrants have been sleeping on the floor of an old bar at the Big Apple's Roosevelt Hotel shelter for days as the first wave of asylum seekers were being booted from city sites under its stay limit rule. I mean, it's unsustainable. You have people literally sleeping on the floors in New York City. And you know what? I think that you need to keep overwhelming them because this became a national issue when it became a New York issue. Plain and simple. Ken in the borough, you have a comment on the border. Ken, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Ken?
Hey, just three quick comments. I know you're going to break for the half hour. One is we're not supposed to have a memory because we're so stupid, but did my figures fit that $2 billion was what the cost of building the wall in the past administration that they wouldn't allow, and yet we've sent $130 billion out of the country? I'll answer. I hang up and let you answer.
Yeah, I think the figure was $8 billion. But I could be wrong. I haven't looked at that number in a while. But I mean, your point is absolutely correct. That was way too expensive for them when Trump wanted to finance the border wall. It was unrealistic to get that much money, and yet we send all of that money out to Ukraine. Weird how that works. We can defend their borders, just not our own. That would be racist. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Hunter Biden suing Rudy Giuliani and his former attorney, claiming they caused a total annihilation of his digital privacy and violated federal and state computer privacy laws through their alleged efforts to hack his devices. Hunter Biden's also sued former Trump White House aide Garrett Ziegler for the effort to access devices that purportedly belonged to Hunter Biden. And last week, Hunter Biden sued the IRS, alleging its agents illegally released his tax information. There's new data out from the CDC about long COVID, when someone's with symptoms of COVID-19 linger long after someone recovers from the illness. According to the CDC, 18 million U.S. adults have suffered from long COVID, but it's also affected kids, especially kids from 12 to 17, and it could qualify as a disability, possibly for Social Security disability payments. And another major retailer following others in offering healthcare services, says Jim Ryan.
Costco is teaming up with healthcare marketplace Sesame. It'll offer virtual healthcare visits within its grocery stores. A primary care visit would cost $29 under the new plan. The service will not, however, accept health insurance.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. I've had a financial radio show on WTN for over 20 years. But before that, for about the first 10 years of my career, I worked for a big investment firm. The name of the game was selling and getting assets under management. Then I was introduced to evidence-based investing, driven by academic research and not the sales process. Two big revelations. One was that investing in the stock market wasn't a gambling adventure. I had never thought about it that way. Think about when we invest, you're just gambling your money away and just throwing it into the casino. Well, investing in stocks is really just owning companies. And you think about some of the most successful people in the world are business owners, and you get to be a business owner when you invest in the stock market. It allows you to be part owner of the most successful companies in the world. The second had to do with how you were investing in those companies. In my former role, I was taught that my job was to use my skills to predict the future. Oh, crystal ball, what stocks or market segments are going to do best in the near future? If you listen to investing news sources and investment advisors, you'll find that making predictions is the rule rather than the exception. One recent study shows that 93% of professional managers underperformed the market over the past 15 years in their selection of large U.S. stocks. And it was over 95% that underperformed with small companies. Did you know that you could be tremendously successful as an investor without predicting the future? I believe the first step is education. However, it can't be just any education. We will help you understand what you're doing with your investments, why you're doing it, and what the basics are behind how things work. Then we make recommendations. I want you to be completely confident before you do anything. If that sounds like a winning game plan, set up a free 15-minute phone call at any of our 10 offices around Nashville. Go to paulwinkler.com to schedule a call today.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 1035. My name is Chris Hand. How are you doing? Hope you're having a great morning so far. We're getting into it. Talking about the border, talking about Joe Biden, talking about the mayor of Canada, Justin Trudeau. I still can't believe that they gave a Nazi a standing ovation in Canada. Classic. Unreal. But there are some stories that I want to get to. One of them is this one. This was published just this morning from Breitbart. 1,800 migrants pour into Texas border town in a single day as crisis continues. 1,800 were apprehended entering the Texas border town of Eagle Pass, Texas on Monday. Nearly 1,400 migrants made landfall along the Rio Grande in the heart of the downtown area. The migrants were quickly moved to a Border Patrol processing facility that is already nearly 5 times over its capacity of 1,000 migrants. 5 times over its capacity of 1,000. So it's a Border Patrol processing facility that's only supposed to be for 1,000 people that has over 5,000. Hundreds of migrants were apprehended by the Border Patrol as they made their way to Texas border on freight trains in the Mexican city of Nava. On Sunday, these migrants walked 27 miles to reach the border city in Coahuila. I'm butchering that. I know that. In a scene that has repeated itself daily. Breitbart, Texas observed migrants crossing the river in large groups of more than 100 being staged for transport under the Eagle Pass International Bridge, which has been closed since Wednesday. The Biden administration closed the bridge to legal border crossings while the illegal crossings continued unabated. It's crazy to me. The legal migration is shut down because they are so overwhelmed by the illegal migration. You know, we often get called evil and having no hearts as Republicans, but why can't we prioritize legal immigration? Why can't we shut down the illegal stuff first? Why do we have to close down the legal stuff? It's so weird. I bring this up. I brought this up before. There was a caller to Matt Murphy's show. Was it last week or the week before? And the woman said, I came here legally. Can I get my money back? Because of how much she had to spend. Yeah. How much she had to spend to get through legally. What a smack in the face to people that have done it the right way.
Seriously. And who love this country, too.
100%. Well, they're not going to vote the right way. That's the problem.
That's true. That's exactly it.
They want them to vote blue.
Bingo.
Unfortunately. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. The amount of illegal aliens that have come in since Biden took over outnumber the populations of 15 different states and D.C. Breitbart reports the optics of the huge wave of migrants coming into that downtown area require the bulk of our agents to deal with, but they aren't the only ones crossing. Large groups are arriving in Piedras Negras by bus and crossing through more remote areas as well. And this is one thing that I keep bringing up. It's not just the ones that we're catching. How many are getting away? The source told Breitbart, Texas, that nearly 15,000 migrants have crossed into Eagle Pass in the last 8 days. The unprecedented migrant surge has strained the agency's resources, impacting routine patrols outside a small footprint in the city. These daily crossings take every available border agent to deal with. Whether transporting, processing, or providing humanitarian services under the bridge, we have no one left to patrol ranches outside the city. As reported by Breitbart, Texas, nearly 600,000 migrants are believed to have eluded apprehension this fiscal year, according to the Border Patrol. The number of known gotaways is likely much higher, according to a source, as fewer Border Patrol agents are performing the routine patrols relied upon to gather the data. So they don't even know how many people have gotten away. They don't even know. It's scary, man. I feel so bad for people that are in those towns raising young kids. You have no idea who is coming through your city on a daily basis. Unreal. Unreal. And they'll tell you, you're evil for not being all for this. And they'll show you the pictures of the children crawling through the razor wire and be like, you have no heart. It's garbage. It's absolute garbage. Trump was in South Carolina, and he was talking about Joe Biden and what this guy has done to our country, and this is what that sounded like.
If you took the 5 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as crooked Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done. You wouldn't have done. There's nobody. You could take your 5 worst presidents, add them up. I may have to change it to 10 because 5 is no longer appropriate because you can't even get close. I think I'll go to 10 from now on. Would people remember that, please?
He's absolutely right. The damage that has been done to our country since Joe Biden took office is unreal. Everywhere you look, it's like you almost get anxiety because it's not like we don't know the problems that we have to fix. It's that any direction we look, there's a problem we have to fix. Whether it's the economy, whether it's the drug crisis, whether it's fentanyl pouring in over the border, whether it's migrants pouring in over the border, whether it's sending all of our tax dollars over to Ukraine, whether it's the impending government shutdown that's coming. Every direction you look, the country has gotten worse since Donald Trump was president. Every direction you look. Trump knows that. You know that. I know that.
2024 is our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers. Get them all out of our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, the Marxists, the fascists. And we will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media. Those people right there, they're fake, so many of them.
That's the truth. Fake news. At one point during Trump in South Carolina, he started talking about Tucker Carlson. And you know what Fox News did?
What?
They cut away.
Because we're Fox News and we suck.
Yes, it's so true.
And we're the only ones going up. They're going down. They're going down, down, down. They ought to stop wasting their time. They're wasting a lot of time on these ridiculous debates that nobody's watching. Their last debate was the lowest rated debate in history. That's a good compliment, isn't it? Now, what was I doing, Marjorie? I was someplace else, wasn't I, huh? I was doing another interview. We had 271 million people listening to the Tucker Carlson interview. That's an all-time record.
Oh, then they cut away.
So here we are, back in the thick of campaign season. We are now just 4 months away from the Iowa primaries. And you see former President Trump in a place where you would expect to see him today and in the days to come, South Carolina.
So they cut away as soon as he starts bringing up Tucker Carlson and the low-rated GOP debate. Are you surprised? I'm not. I actually don't blame him. But Martha McCallum, she looked like she was thrown off a little bit. It's like, oh no, quick, go to Martha, quick.
She's like, hello.
And why do they cut away when he starts mentioning Tucker Carlson? Well, that's an easy reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we're Fox News.
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
Because we're Fox News and we suck.
Yep. I still think that firing Tucker Carlson is the dumbest move they've ever done. I mean, his numbers have been astronomical since leaving the network. And apparently, the network was stopping him from doing even crazier stuff. Tucker Carlson has alleged that unnamed figures in Washington obstructed his attempts to interview Russian President Vladimir Putin. Have you heard that?
I haven't, and I'm not shocked.
Would you be interested in Tucker interviewing Putin?
Of course.
Why? Who wouldn't want to see that?
Of course. That would be must-see TV.
Now, Tucker went on record and said, I tried to interview Vladimir Putin, and the U.S. government stopped me. He claimed that in an interview in an interview with Swiss publication on last Thursday. He also explained that he felt let down by the lack of support for his situation that he says he received from the U.S. news media. He said, I don't think there was anybody who said, wait a second, I may not like this guy, but he has the right to interview anyone he wants, and we have a right to hear what Putin says. You're not allowed to hear Putin's voice? Because why? There was no vote on it. No one asked me. It's so true. Putin has just got to be the evilest guy ever, and we have to support Ukraine, so you can't interview Putin. The often controversial media personality didn't elaborate on circumstances under which he says the government intrusion into his plans to interview Putin, but appeared to suggest it was the current Biden administration which was behind the meddling. Shocker. Carlson also didn't mention when the interview with the Russian leader was supposed to take place. But Carlson did tell them, I'm an American citizen. I'm a much more loyal American than, say, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, who, and this is funny, or Kamala Harris, who didn't even grow up in this country. She grew up in Canada. And they're telling me what it is to be a loyal American. Kamala Harris grew up in Canada. And she's the best female vice president we've ever had.
So you probably lived pretty close to her then.
Yeah. we were neighbors. what a jerk. Hey, Travis Kelce's a sellout, by the way.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right.
We're even.
The report goes on to say Carlson, previously Fox News' biggest star, parted way after the news network settled for $787.5 million lawsuit with voting machine company Dominion. Yep. So, yeah, you got to get rid of Tucker. Since leaving Fox News, Carlson has broadcasted his show on X, which regularly draws tens of millions of views. I mean, Tucker's become a monster, an absolute monster. And they don't want him to interview Putin. And I'll tell you exactly why they don't want him to interview Putin, because they don't want Putin to appear to be a human. They would rather him be an evil Russian president that we never hear from, because that makes the propaganda all the more effective. If you were to hear Putin talk and he came off as reasonable, the facade kind of fades away. And then funding Ukraine seems even worse. And the Ukraine Forever War is terrible. We need to stop funding that. And again, the government shutdown it's absolutely coming. It's coming to a government near you. And when it comes, the Pentagon has said that they will continue funding Ukraine. And not just the war effort. No. They're also paying for firefighters, and they're paying for all of their services. They're paying for construction. They're literally funding everything in the country. Meanwhile, we're kind of treading water here in our own country. We are running out of money fast. The border is wide open. And, the president does nothing about it. The government does nothing about it. To our last caller's point, where's Governor Lee with all the illegal migrants here in Tennessee? This isn't just a Republican and a Democrat thing. It's a Republican and Democrat thing. This is a government issue. We have a lot of losers in our government that refuse to address the problems that we're facing here in this country. And you can see these problems getting worse every single day. Day after day after day, these problems just pile up on top of each other. 1,800 migrants poured into Texas yesterday. 1,800. No end in sight to the chaos. No end. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But pendulums, they swing. So we'll keep you updated on all the latest. But I do think it's interesting that Tucker was shut down interviewing Putin by figures in the U.S. government. Interesting. Quite the claim. Wouldn't shock me one bit. It's 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Find me off air on Twitter, Instagram, Truth Social, at Chris Hand on air. Join the show, 615-737-9986, whether you want to call or text. Be a part of it. 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hunter Biden suing Rudy Giuliani. Former President Trump responds to a gag order request in the federal election interference case. And both President Biden and former President Trump going to the picket line where United Auto Workers are striking in Michigan. These stories and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. As everything is happening on the southern border, Joe Biden is walking up the short stairs on Air Force One and heading to Michigan for the UAW strike. You know he's actually been using the short stairs on Air Force One. You know that, right?
He just kept tripping, right?
He falls.
He kept falling.
He falls. I mean, at least they're looking out for him there. They don't look out for him being elderly in any other way.
Nope.
Literally, like they don't look out for him at all, but they will make him use the short stairs getting on Air Force One.
It feels like actively they are not looking out for him, actually. So, yeah.
It feels like quite the opposite,
Yep.
doesn't it?
Yep.
But they make him use the short stairs because they have to avoid the optics of him falling down the stairs. My gosh, everything's an optics game. Everything's an optics game.
How many times did he fall? Like 3, right? At least.
He's fallen so many times. Biden, 2024, crashing bikes and economies.
And we're out of bikes.
Yeah, we're all out of bikes. So funny. Oh, my gosh. I mean, even Democrat mayors are saying the Biden administration needs to do more. This is Eagle Pass, Texas Mayor Rolando Salinas on Biden's border crisis. This is what he said. Oh.
Action from our federal government and the Mexican government as well. It's impacting our safety, it's impacting our economy. It's just a mess.
It's an absolute mess. We got more on the Biden border crisis. We're going to cover more about the UAW strike and Joe Biden heading to the picket line, the first president to ever walk a picket line. Interesting. We'll talk about that next. Right now, it's 10:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the latest headlines.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. And Fox News reporting that Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy has signaled that members could soon vote on a new short-term spending proposal to avoid a shutdown. It says lawmakers have to make a deal by September 30th to avoid what could be a federal government shutdown. And now apparently they're going to vote soon on this new short-term spending proposal that McCarthy started floating yesterday. We'll let you know how that goes. Hunter Biden is suing Rudy Giuliani, claiming he's been illegally hacked.
It's the latest example of an aggressive legal posture now being taken by the president's son. Hunter Biden's lawsuit accuses Rudy Giuliani and his longtime personal attorney of illegally analyzing, tampering with, manipulating, and altering the data taken from his laptop, amounting to a, quote, total annihilation of Hunter Biden's privacy. The suit says Giuliani and his co-defendants have violated federal and state anti-hacking laws, and the president's son is now seeking damages.
Hunter Biden has also sued the IRS for releasing his tax information. Lawyers for former President Donald Trump have formally responded to a gag order request from prosecutors in his federal election interference case. The former president's lawyers say prosecutors aim to strip Donald Trump of his First Amendment freedoms during his campaign against President Biden. Special counsel Jack Smith's team wants to block the former president from making statements that he claims might prejudice the January 6th case. Prosecutors have until Saturday to offer a written response to the defense. Judge Tanya Chutkan will decide on her own timeline. And there may be votes to win among striking United Auto Workers. Here's Terry Moran in Wayne, Michigan.
For decades, when workers went on strike, presidents, Republican and Democrat, tried to stay above it all, not taking sides, urging negotiations and a fair deal. But today, at this Ford plant where workers have been on strike for 11 days now for better pay and benefits, Joe Biden will break that tradition.
Yeah, former President Trump's going to bring his own message to a crowd of union members tomorrow. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand. Just wanted to let you know all day today you can bid on some incredible, crazy experiences with WTN and the Nashville Soccer Club. We're helping fight kids' cancer and support the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital. So right now, you can find the link at 997WTN.com, and there's some crazy good things that you can bid on, including a $1,500 sales package for your business from WTN. I mean, you could get that at a banger of a value. You could also bid on a remote broadcast with your favorite hosts live at your business. So you can get me and Mac goofing off about the president going up the short stairs live at your business.
Who wouldn't want that?
Who wouldn't want to see that live?
Or us conspire about body doubles. Come on.
Do you want us to talk about George Washington's body double at your business? Well, you can make that a reality. And we'll even let you on the show to talk about it with us by bidding now and helping us fight kids' cancer at 997WTN.com. And you could even go to a game with the Nashville Soccer Club and get down on the field as the teams warm up, among other things, okay? So help us fight kids' cancer. Help us support the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital. You can text Kick Cancer to 615-488-4401. That's Kick Cancer to 615-488-4401, or find the link at 997WTN.com. I got so nervous reading that I was going to sound like Joe Biden and be like, text Joe to 30330-330.
Here's the LL Cool Guy.
Yeah. Performances from LL Cool Guy. I did get a text a little while ago. We were talking about Tucker Carlson not being allowed to interview Putin. And I got a text from a first-time texter, 9774, area code from Michigan, the Mitten State. And they said, Putin is a dictator and a murderer. I grew up in the Czech Republic. If Putin goes unchecked, he will try to take back all of the former USSR. Listen, I'm not saying Putin's a good guy. I'm just saying, who wouldn't want to watch that interview? And why are we not allowed to see the interview? It's okay for Kim Jong-un to be hanging out with Dennis Rodman, but Tucker Carlson can't interview Putin. Just seems weird. And I don't want the government to do the thinking for me. So by not allowing Putin to be interviewed by Tucker Carlson, if that's true, it just feels like thought policing, and it feels like censorship to me. And that's not saying you could walk away from the interview and be like, wow, Putin is as awful as everybody says. That's an absolute possibility with Tucker Carlson interviewing Vladimir Putin. That nobody's saying you're going to walk away feeling like Putin is the greatest guy, 97-74. But the fact that they won't even let it happen makes me think, why? Why is that? Maybe because they've built him up to be a supervillain, and maybe he's not. I don't know. You never see anything from Putin. You just hear everything secondhand. So I would be interested in a Tucker Carlson, Vladimir Putin interview. I'm sure a lot of people would. And again, I don't think that means we're going to walk away thinking Putin is the savior of the world or anything like that. Or walk away and think that Putin isn't a dictator and a murderer. Nobody's saying that. I'm just saying it's something I would want to see. And by the government saying you can't see that, you can't interview him, just makes me go, weird.
Yeah, it raises questions.
Why can't I see that? It's like, do whatever you want. Just don't push the red button. It's like, well, son of a gun, I want to push the red button now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And how can you trust anything from this government? You know? I mean, you can't interview Vladimir Putin. He's a dictator. He's evil. Okay. These are the same people that tell me that the border is secure. Maybe it is. I don't know. All the facts that I'm seeing say that it's not. In fact, you see Democrat mayors come out time and time again saying quite the opposite, that it's not secure. You have the Democrat mayor of Eagle Pass saying that it's not good. You also have the Democrat mayor out of El Paso, Texas, going on CNN to say we're at a breaking point.
And the team here in El Paso has done an incredible job. The city, the county, we all work together to make sure that we provide a bed and a warm meal for everyone. And but we are at a breaking point. We're running out of hotels. We're running out of space. And when I talked to Chief Owens from the Border Patrol, he told us to prepare for about 2,000 crossings a day. Jeez. So that's something we're preparing for. You talked at the middle of the show. We actually went out and bought a school that had been closed for about 3-4 years, and we're going to prepare that for an emergency shelter. That school's on 19 acres, and we're going to sit there, and half of it will be completely apart, will be an emergency sheltering service, and the other half will be an animal services where we'll have an animal park out there, and they'll be able to come walk a dog, sit there and play with a dog, so it helps them with mental health.
I mean, that's your tax dollars at work. A Democrat mayor says the city's at its breaking point. And then at the same time, he says we're running out of hotels. We're running out of space. We're at a breaking point. He says that the Border Patrol officers tell him prepare for 2,000 a day. So he's using tax dollars to go buy a school to house the migrants and a 19 acres so that way they can have a dog park to help with mental health. How about no? How about we spend that money and deport them? Is that radical? Like, the man acknowledges the city is at a breaking point. He acknowledges that they're running out of hotels, that they're running out of space, that he's being told by Border Patrol agents expect 2,000 migrants to arrive a day. A day. Almost 30K every 2 weeks. And he's going to build a dog park to help him out with mental health? Hard pass. It's no wonder that when you look at all these new polls, like the new national poll from NBC, voters are overwhelmingly saying that they trust Republicans to do a better job than Democrats dealing with border security. it can't shock you that people feel that way. Because Democrats, when they deal with border security, like in places like Chicago, where they're also at a breaking point, the way they deal with it is to pay private shelter employees $135 to $200 per hour. This is a local news report from Chicago. A manager of a migrant, and they say migrant, they mean illegal alien. A manager of an illegal alien facility made $14,000 in 1 week, and a nurse earned $20,000 in a week.
9 city leaders are expressing shock after an NBC5 Investigates report we aired yesterday. We are waiting for records that show where the millions being spent on migrants is going.
Some records we did receive show employees working at migrant shelters have made more than $135 an hour. NBC5 Investigates Bennett Haberly is here more with what you've discovered, Bennett.
Yeah, Kate and Alex, imagine making almost $200 an hour. These invoices show it has happened at the privately run shelters housing migrants. Today, I talked to aldermen who say they've been asking for receipts as well and had no idea of the figures until our report last night.
So they're making money hand over fist. If you ever wonder why this problem isn't being resolved quickly, because people in control are making a lot of money. A lot of money. A manager of a private illegal alien facility in Chicago made $14,000 in a week. Bidenomics, man, it's working. Steve in Murfreesboro, you have an idea, and I want to hear your idea. What's up, Steve? You're on Super Talk.
Yeah, you say 2,000 people a day. That's about 60,000 people a month.
Yep.
That's about as many people as we could fit into a pro NFL football stadium. And the reason people don't pay attention is because it doesn't affect them. But what if we close down the Dallas Cowboys Stadium because we're housing 60,000 immigrants that came across the border last month, and instead of a 3-hour football game on Sunday, they air 3 hours of the immigrants in the stadium, and the reason why we don't have a football game.
I think that would be fantastic. I mean, plus it's not like the Dallas Cowboys are any good, and they're going to need it at all.
Might as well take the Saints as well. All the football stadiums that are down below, towards the border. Let's just shut them all down and turn them into refugee camps.
Hey, I'm with it. Thanks for the idea. I appreciate it. If you're gonna watch Dallas take L's every week, might as well do it with with migrants. Watch the city be disappointed. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
It's creative.
It is.
Creative idea.
I mean, or you could do it in Chicago where the Bears play and pay the people to take in these illegal immigrants and house them $135 to $200 per hour. That's what they're doing in Chicago. Unreal. A manager of a migrant facility made $14K in 1 week, and a nurse earned $20K in 1 week. That's why this problem isn't going anywhere. People are making too much money.
These invoices obtained by NBC5 Investigates show employees of a private company, Favorite Staffing, which run the city's migrant shelters, have made at least $135 an hour, in some cases more. In one invoice, a facility manager made $14,000 in a week in December. Another invoice shows a nurse earned more than $20,000 in 1 week.
It's unreal.
Those figures do account for overtime.
To see invoices like that are disgusting. They're outrageous, and they should be cause for an immediate investigation.
Do you have an accounting for all the dollars are going?
No, we haven't been. And I think that's the big concern that came up today was that we're willing to accept federal dollars. We're willing to give dollars to these issues, but we need to see where every penny is spent.
Well, they're seeing where the pennies are being spent, and spoiler alert, they're just being thrown at managers and nurses at private migrant facilities in Chicago. Unreal. That's your federal tax dollars at work. Jack in Nashville also has an idea on the southern border. Jack, you're on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? I got an idea what to do with the migrants.
Okay.
Have buses pick them up, take them to the airport, fly them to Ukraine, where they can help fight the war over there instead of spending money, and then they can stay and help rebuild the country once it's done.
Yeah, and then we can find out that they were cartel members, bring them to Canada, and give them a standing ovation. It's
Sounds like
perfect.
a plan.
I like it. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for the call.
All right.
Appreciate you, man. I mean, a lot of ideas. I have an idea of what we could do.
Okay.
It's not as fun as everybody else's. I would just, and this might seem radical.
Bracing myself.
Brace yourself. I would just deport them. I would just send them home.
Extremists.
Oh my gosh. How could you say something like that? I mean, yeah, I would just send him home. You know, and then you get these migrants evading their countries, and then they plant their own flags in our country. There's a report from Breitbart. Texas troopers remove Venezuelan flag by migrants on border River Island. So these asylum seekers were coming through, and they stopped on an island in the middle of the river, and they planted their flag. Doesn't seem like something you would do if you were actively trying to become an American citizen. You would plant your flag on the way into town. Seems like something you would do if you were invading. Is that just me? Maybe it's just me. Bob in Hendersonville, you have an idea on what to do with the migration crisis. Bob, you're on Super Talk. What's up?
Hey, I think a change of leadership would help, because after all, this is all happening because of the people at the top. They're trying to show us how much they really love us and how much they really care. So this is how they show us.
Yep.
But if we can be patient enough to the next election, I think we can wait for Biden to he probably won't be in the running, and then maybe we could get Michelle in there, and then her husband Barack, he'll be able to fix all this because he loves us too, and he's sure to shut down the border and build those walls back up and make things right again.
Oh, you're absolutely
right?
Yep. I think you nailed it.
Yeah. So I can't wait for Michelle to take over the next 2020 and 2024, because the same thing will get Trump that got him last time. Those machines.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not the media manipulation, it could be anything. Thanks for the call, Bob. I appreciate you. You know, it's crazy. Jim on line 2, you have a comment on Chicago. Jim in Mount Juliet, what's up? You're on Super Talk.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Well, first of all, if you put that money in perspective, I mean, I'm sure the nurses work hard, okay? Honest to God. I know they do.
Fair enough.
But what that manager makes in 2 weeks is more than the average Tennessee teacher makes in a school year.
That's crazy.
Okay?
Yep.
But the reason I called was that you missed the next point after the fact that these outrageous fees are being paid. How did that organization land that contract? They didn't get it because they're the best migrant facility.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, they get it because probably they got Democrat friends in high places.
You got it.
Hey, thanks for the call, Jim. No, go ahead.
Follow the money.
Follow the money
Follow the
always.
money.
Yep.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, the money usually leads down a rabbit hole.
Yep.
Hey, appreciate the call, Jim. Thanks so much. You know, geez. We could do this all day. we could come up with creative ideas all day. Mine is boring. Mine would just be deport them. But I don't know. You might have a more fun idea. 615-737-9986. It is 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you for being here. Hey, it's Chris Hand for Paul Winkler Inc. Now I'm a husband. I got 4 kids, and me and my wife knew financial stability was going to be a big priority for us. We're already thinking about weddings, college down the road if any of the kids want that. And, we were listeners of Paul's radio show since moving to Nashville, but it was after I got to meet him and realize he's the same guy that I heard on the air. I was all in. And it's also because Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than's required. And because of that standard that they hold themselves to, I'm required that I tell you every time this commercial airs, I'm paid. And that's the truth. But also the truth, when I got to sit down with Paul, break bread, and have my questions answered, that's when I decided to become a client myself. And it's because I'm impressed with Paul and his team. Paul's a smart guy. He knows the financial world better than I do. And with Paul and his team, nothing is done on commission. This is one of the biggest things that sold me on Paul and his team. Nothing is done on commission. So you can be sure when they're giving you advice on what to do with your money, it's to help you, not to help them, because nothing is done on commission. The investment education they provide is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. So do what I did. Check these guys out. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience, and you can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest because of that experience. So talk to one of his team members today. You can set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com. And this Thursday, I'm actually going to be doing my show live from Paul Winkler's office, so you can meet us out there, or call 615-851-1950.
Amazon being sued by the Federal Trade Commission and 17 states for allegedly inflating prices and degrading quality by illegally maintaining monopoly power. And new developments in the federal government spending showdown that might lead to a shutdown. These stories and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Gary in Nashville, you have a comment on immigration. Gary, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Gary? Yo, Gary. Gary. All right, put Gary back on hold until he catches up with us. Steve in Mount Juliet, you have a comment on immigration. Steve, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Steve?
Hey, good morning.
How we doing, Steve?
I'm doing fantastic. I remember what the late, great G. Gordon Liddy said they used to do with them when he worked with the FBI. He said they would put them on C-130s when he had enough of them, take them to the tip of South America, drop them off, and they didn't come back because they didn't have any connections down there.
Hey, that's one way to handle your problem. I think deportation is the move. That's just me. Thanks for the call, Steve. I appreciate you. You know, we are being overrun on the border. They are saying 1,800 migrants were apprehended yesterday entering Eagle Pass. The mayor of El Paso said he was told to expect 2,000 a day. 2,000 a day. These are Democrat mayors that are basically waving the white flag saying, we need help, we need help. But nobody comes to help them. The Biden administration, the best that they can do is cut the razor wire down at the border. Please, federal government, help me. All right, we'll help. Snip, snip, snip. It's like, that's not the help we were looking for, sir. It's not the help we were hoping to get. I mean, this is what we're doing. This is your government on Democrats. This is your government on Democrats. And then they're shocked when the polling shows that people trust the Republicans to do a better job than Democrats with the border. Chris Coons, senator and on the Biden campaign committee, Chris Coons, the guy who's famously let Biden sniff his daughter's hair, had this to say about the polls and how they're reflecting President Biden.
Right now, the polls head-to-head are more concerning than I would expect, but I would so much rather be in this position of having an incredible record for our president to run on.
Okay, yeah. The polls are concerning. The polls are definitely concerning, but they got an incredible record to run on. I mean, what do they mean by incredible record? What do they mean by incredible record? You know, when the Detroit Lions went 0-16, that was an incredible record, wasn't it? It was incredible when the Lions went 0-16. So when they tell me that Joe Biden has an incredible record to run on, I just wonder how they're meaning that, right? It was incredible to see the Lions go 0-16, unheard of. So, you know, when they tell me, when Chris Coons says
of having an incredible record for our president to run on.
It's an incredible record indeed. I don't know I'm not the sports guy, but 0-16 was incredible.
It was pretty awesome.
It was pretty incredible. 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the latest news.
$11:30 on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. And the U.S. government and 17 states suing Amazon over allegations it's inflating prices by abusing its economic dominance, harming fair competition. The lawsuit says Amazon harming competition by requiring sellers on its platform to buy Amazon's in-house logistics services in order to secure the bestseller benefits referred to as Prime. Government spending showdown that might lead to a shutdown. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy saying today he's set to vote on a rule to bring up 4 more appropriation bills and also bringing the border issue into the mix.
We will give an opportunity for Democrats on the floor to join with us to keep government open while at the same time securing the border.
Deadline for action to avoid a government shutdown is Saturday, and that's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. I've had a financial radio show on WTN for over 20 years. But before that, for about the first 10 years of my career, I worked for a big investment firm. The name of the game was selling and getting assets under management. Then I was introduced to evidence-based investing, driven by academic research and not the sales process. 2 big revelations. One was that investing in the stock market wasn't a gambling adventure. I had never thought about it that way. You know, think about when we invest, you're just gambling your money away and just throwing it into the casino. Well, investing in stocks is really just owning companies. And you think about some of the most successful people in the world are business owners, and you get to be a business owner when you invest in the stock market. It allows you to be part owner of the most successful companies in the world. The second had to do with how you were investing in those companies. In my former role, I was taught that my job was to use my skills to predict the future. Oh, crystal ball, what stocks or market segments are going to do best in the near future? If you listen to investing news sources and investment advisors, you'll find that making predictions is the rule rather than the exception. One recent study shows that 93% of professional managers underperformed the market over the past 15 years in their selection of large U.S. stocks. And it was over 95% that underperformed with small companies. Did you know that you could be tremendously successful as an investor without predicting the future? I believe the first step is education. However, it can't be just any education. We will help you understand what you're doing with your investments, why you're doing it, and what the basics are behind how things work. Then we make recommendations. I want you to be completely confident before you do anything. If that sounds like a winning game plan, set up a free 15-minute phone call at any of our 10 offices around Nashville. Go to paulwinkler.com to schedule a call today.
$11:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We're getting the Super Text line's been weird today. Not gonna lie to you, but we're getting texts now about Tucker and Putin. So I apologize if we haven't responded to your Super Text, but it's doing this weird thing where we're not getting any, and then we get like 100 at once. So I apologize that we haven't been on the Super Text line as much as we could have. 9944 texted in and said, I must have missed it earlier. Who's telling Tucker Carlson that he cannot interview Putin? Seems to me that we live in America and Tucker can interview anyone he wants, anytime he wants. Tucker said that it was the government, shadowy figures in the government, that stopped him from interviewing Putin. And he alluded to the fact that it was the Biden-Harris regime. Ray said, Chris, how can they stop Tucker from doing that interview? I don't know. Maybe just take away his Fox News show. I don't know. Something like that. It's weird. I think he should do it.
Yeah, now that he's done with Fox.
Yeah. Our friend Andy texted in. He goes, number one, F Putin. Also, cool. Yeah, cool. Also, F anyone who says we cannot hear an interview with Carlson and Putin. And that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me I can't do something and I want to do it more. I want to listen even harder. 9365 said, when has Tucker ever listened to anyone before? Do it. Seriously. You know, I think that Tucker should interview Putin. I think it would be very interesting. Very interesting. 0348 said, the refusal is not what we will find out about Putin. It's what we will find out from Putin about our White House. Ooh, it's a hot take. It's probably true.
Yeah, well, especially with Tucker asking the questions. He's not really afraid.
No, Tucker doesn't scare easy. Tucker's also having his Twitter show dubbed and aired in Russia. This is from the Washington Post, where democracy dies in darkness. The Washington Post reporting that the former Fox News host, Rhetoric on the War, as he has called it, a U.S.-led regime change war between Russia and Ukraine, and his attacks against Zelensky's government are aligning so well with the major propaganda points of Russian state television that one channel has decided to broadcast Carlson's news show on X to millions of Russians, though apparently without Carlson's permission. So there's a Russian TV channel that have been teasing a new show, Tucker, and they aired their first episode over the weekend, but it's actually just a voiceover ensemble of Carlson's greatest hits against Ukraine. At least that's what the Washington Post is saying. That they're cherry picking Ukraine takes and airing that. And that may be true. But, you know, people want to hear from Tucker. Can't blame them. And people are against the Ukraine war. They just are. Rand Paul went on Laura Ingraham last night, and he brought up the fact that, you know, we've spent $100 billion in Ukraine, and nobody's counting the money. Nobody's looking for fraud.
They sent $100 billion and nobody's counting the money and nobody's looking for the fraud. And Ukraine's always been in the top 10 or historically been in the top 10 for corruption. So no, I think it's a huge mistake. It's an unpopular idea, and yet the leaders in Washington are dead set on ramming this down our throat. But I told them I am not going along with it. I will not allow my consent to let them push through more money for Ukraine, particularly when they have the gall to tell us they're going to pay Ukrainian government workers while our workers go unpaid.
We talked about that earlier today, too. Yeah, let's keep paying Ukraine. Let's fund everything in Ukraine. We got to do it. We got to do it. It's the only way. It's the only way to do the right thing is pay for everything in Ukraine. No matter how unpopular it is, no matter how many Americans don't want it, we have to. We have to pay for Ukraine. We just do. You're a Russian agent if you don't want to fight the war in Ukraine. That's my thoughts on Tucker. I think that he should have interviewed Putin. I think that's a big deal. I think that's a bigger story than we even realize. You know, everybody talks about Mockingbird Media and the U.S. government having their fingers on the scale of the news media in this country. And I think that a lot of times we think of it in the sense of telling people what to report. You know, you see those talking points come down and all the major networks jump on them. But I think that just as big isn't telling people what to report, but also telling people what not to cover. And I think that Tucker being told that he can't interview Putin is one of those instances of, why? So I think that's a big story. I'll be keeping my eyes on that for updates as they become available. Another big story, well, it's not really a big story, but it's funny. Nancy Pelosi was on the Circle Back Jen Psaki show, and this is what she had to say on the Trump impeachment. Are you ready for this? Get the clown show button ready, because this is a clown show.
But if you have a difference of opinion, you just can't be impeaching. On the other hand, this is a fake distraction, as you said.
So
what a ridiculous clown show.
Yep. This impeachment against Joe Biden is a fake distraction. If you have a disagreement, you can't just be impeaching. Weird. Isn't that weird? It's all the Democrats do is project. All they do is project. Everything that they do, you're not allowed to do. Everything they do wrong was actually you doing it. It's unreal. A House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer announced a list of 3 witnesses yesterday who will testify before the first impeachment inquiry hearing into Joe Biden on Thursday. This is something that we should definitely be excited about and looking into. The witnesses are Professor Jonathan Turley of George Washington University Law School, Eileen O'Connor, former Assistant Attorney General of the United States Department of Justice Tax Division, and Bruce Dubinsky of Dubinsky Consulting, a forensic accountant expert. So Turley, this is from Breitbart. Turley, I'm sure you know who Turley is. Recognized scholar, published work in areas ranging from constitutional law to legal theory. The other 2 are lesser known. O'Connor supervised the DOJ litigation of civil, criminal trial, and appellate tax cases. So that'll be interesting when it comes to the whistleblower testimony and Hunter Biden. And then Dubinsky accumulated more than 40 years of financial, investigative, and dispute consulting experience, as well as served as an expert witness more than 100 times, testifying in more than 80 trials, including trials involving criminal and civil financial fraud. So these guys have credentials. They're coming in, and you can tell just by their titles that they are going to bring some definitive expertise to the situation regarding not only Hunter and his tax cases, but the commingling of funds and how the IRS whistleblowers were shut down by the DOJ from investigating any crimes by Hunter Biden that could lead to Joe Biden. So I'll be looking forward to that. The witnesses will attend the 10 a.m. hearing on Thursday, which will examine the value of impeachment inquiry and present evidence House Republicans uncovered regarding Joe Biden's knowledge of and his role in his family's business. So, I mean, this is going to be must-see TV. This is going to be must-see TV. Thousands of pages of financial records, emails, texts, testimony from credible IRS whistleblowers, transcribed interviews with Biden family business associate Devin Archer. All of that is not evidence, just in case you're keeping score at home. But Congress is going to be investigating. And according to recent polling, majority of voters say Joe Biden is involved in his family business, contradicting his long-held position that he never spoke to his son, Hunter, about business. It's so funny. I mean, it was just a couple months ago when I started in July that they were saying Joe never spoke to his son about business. Then it changed to Joe never spoke to his son's business associates. Then it changed to he called. He called while they were on the phone, but it was just about the weather. It changed. It has changed drastically since July. And I have a feeling that this is going to change drastically as the impeachment inquiry continues on. I mean, 61% of Americans say Joe Biden was involved in his family business deals with China and Ukraine. 51% of voters believe Joe Biden committed a crime with Hunter Biden. 66% of voters say Joe Biden discussed business with his son. 62% of voters contend Joe participated in his family business deals. So, are the overwhelming majority of Americans just conspiracy theorists? I don't think so. I think we just all see what's going on. 50% of independent voters believe House Republicans should impeach Joe Biden. That was a YouGov CBS News poll found in September. Overall, 47% of Americans support impeachment. 53% oppose impeachment. Previous polling shows a plurality. 41% support the inquiry, while 35% oppose it. 24% unsure. I'm excited to see what comes of it. I will be holding my breath. I'm not sure if anything is going to happen, but I hope so. And I keep going back to this Bob Menendez case as reason for hope, because old Gold Bar Bob, as they're calling him, has been indicted And they're saying that he sold influence to help businessmen and the government of Egypt. This is going to be interesting to follow. Because if you replace the word wife in the Menendez case, because they say his wife facilitated a lot of this, with son, and you replace Menendez with Biden, it mirrors exactly what's happened with the Biden crime family. And even Dem reps are acknowledging that this doesn't look good. On Monday's broadcast of CNN's The Source, Don Beyer, a Democrat out of Virginia, called for the Biden administration to have a much stronger response to Egypt, conducting essentially an espionage operation within the U.S. Senate. And to that, I'd say, sir, if they have a much stronger response and Menendez is found guilty, then it's just they're going to have egg on their face, and they're going to have a strong response when this impeachment inquiry goes further down the road. And the majority of the American public believe that you guys have done the same thing in Ukraine, China, and the like. But we'll see what happens. Again, do I think we're going to see Joe Biden in handcuffs? No. Do I think he could be impeached? Maybe. I know Matt Murphy has said a couple times that he wants to wait and impeach him after his term. That might be the smarter move. Matt Murphy's coming up at noon. He's going to check in with us next to let us know what he has going on the show. It is 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 11:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Did you see Biden? Matt Murphy's in the studio joining
Hello.
me.
I got hair all over me. My apologies. Yeah, hey, bonus points if you know where this shirt's from.
Is it from Jackie Treehorn Productions?
Jackie Treehorn Productions. Anybody? Super text line will be all over this.
Malibu, California?
All over this.
All right.
Just watch the super text line explode.
I will.
In 6, 5, well, you know the delay. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So the super text line's been acting up, so we'll get those texts in like 20 minutes.
Oh, no.
I know.
I love the super
right.
text line.
They gave Joe Biden the short stairs on Air Force One.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah.
He almost fell on the short stairs when he landed in Detroit.
It's bad.
It was bad.
It would have been really bad, this one.
Even Mac was like, whoa. That was a catch that only Travis Kelce could make. That's what he said.
Speaking of catches, how the heck did Travis Kelce? I don't even like Taylor Swift, and I would tell you that Taylor Swift is out of Travis Kelce's league.
But who's in her league
so?
is the question.
Well, I don't think she's that attractive. Like
Taylor Swift, she hunches and she's kind of a trollop.
Yeah, I
Honestly.
felt like Travis Kelce.
What?
He's always catching sixes, and he did the same thing with Taylor Swift.
It's good. It's good. Caught another
Like
six.
that.
Nice.
I think she's as tall as him. She's like a
Oh my
alien.
gosh.
She's
it was
pretty
crazy seeing them stand next to her. I was like, dang. I would look so small standing next to Travis.
I mean, I'm not judging. Live your own life, but
I was judging.
How many dudes is she going to be with over the course of her? I mean,
about as many booster shots as you need now.
Shit.
I mean, does she need a new song that bad?
I
She
don't
just
know.
got out of a 7-year
Did you-
relationship.
Did
too.
you see the joke that Charlie Kirk posted on Twitter? It was cracking me up. It said, what's going to break Travis's heart first, the new Pfizer shot or Taylor Swift?
For the record, Matt is not audibly laughing at that joke in case that comes back.
I thought it was funny.
I think it's pretty funny. I mean, he's out there. I mean, get out of here.
He's just.
What do you think you're accomplishing on my television demanding that I get another booster shot?
Dude, I don't understand.
Get over
it.
yourselves. You're hurting your cause.
He is the general of current thingism. And we're going to be swimming in Pfizer ads on the NFL and everywhere through the Super Bowl. And now you see his jersey sales go up 300%. And now you're going to see all the Swifties lining up for their booster flu shot.
Mm-hmm.
Their boo flu. You know what I mean? Sign me up for a boo flu,
I mean, what's
bro.
the over-under on how many dudes she's been with?
I don't know. I think it's like.
I mean, at some point, this is an issue. I mean,
It's
help me out
John
more.
Mayer. It's Harry Styles. She was just with a guy for 7 years.
She was with a guy for 7 years?
7 years. Not famous guy. Very low-key relationship.
7 years?
Well, you know what?
I dated
That
Swiftie,
actually,
if you can't tell.
in fairness, that surprises me.
It does.
That she's with somebody for 7 years, and then she dumps that person for stupid Pfizer Kelce.
Yeah. And he's doing the Bud Light thing. And he's doing, he's just doing. And then the thing that really bugged me is you post that commercial online and you don't have comments turned on. Like, you know you're going to get roasted. Right. And so you actively censor the conversation because you can't handle it. You can take the check, but you can't take the comments.
I'm trying to figure out how much money. Everybody's got a price. Like, Pfizer's one thing because I think that might kill people. But, like, Bud Light, it'd take a lot of money for me to endorse Bud Light.
I gave him a pass on Bud Light, though. Because, like, you're a football player. You might get injured. Your career could be ruined.
And they're cutting a check, a huge check.
That's a big check.
That's a big check.
Like, I get it.
But the Pfizer thing, there's evidence that it could kill people.
Yeah.
And has killed people.
Sure has.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't either.
I like you.
10 mice approve. 10 mice of the Matt Murphy Show. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.